All right, hey everybody, Andrew here with Nashville Severe Weather, back with you again, and we got a new severe thunderstorm warning here for Williamson County. This is for cluster storms we were watching just a little bit ago, and the thing has strengthened enough on the wind side of things to issue a warning with this. So the Weather Service has issued this warning until 3:30 p.m., and so about a 30-minute warning or so on this for winds near Leaper's Fork. So just a minute ago, we saw winds increase pretty rapidly over here around Kingfield, around Old Highway 96 and Parker's Branch Road west of Leaper's Fork. And it looks like now the strong winds on radar indicated, right there around Parker Branch Road. And approaching, that's going to be what, David? Old Hillsborough Road there as it comes out of, crosses 96 and goes down toward Leaper's Fork. So that's where the strongest winds are now. Radar up at the Weather Service indicating winds in the 55, 58 mile per hour range there. From the Weather Service radar, that's up at around 1900 feet. And I'm going to go down and look at TBNA as well here. And let's see, it's showing about the same. Let's switch over and look at that. Here's TBNA. It shows basically the exact same thing. And these are winds around Parker Branch Road that are approaching 58 miles per hour or so. So right there around Parker's Branch and Old Hillsborough, it looks like where the strongest winds are according to radar, but anywhere around Leaper's Fork, between Leaper's Fork and Franklin, and down toward Carter's Creek Pike, any of that area down in there could get some strong, gusty, damaging straight-line winds in the 60 mile per hour range. So again, this severe thunderstorm warning that does include Franklin. It does include Cool Springs and all the way down south of Franklin down to Thompson Station and basically over east toward I-65. And that is where the polygon generally ends. And then we'll see as these storms push east how far they can go. But David, we're looking at the these storms are moving into areas that have been worked over already. And so we're not, it's a little bit unclear how far these storms will make it east.
Yeah, we were just looking at that. If you look on the satellite image, you can see kind of the storm ballooning to the east and to the west, and the area in between the two is where this warning is. I don't think that this storm is going to have much luck staying strong once it gets about 5 miles to the east of I-65. So I think if you're in Franklin, I think if you're in Brentwood over by the Concord Road, and if you're down in Thompson Station, Cool Springs, kind of that area, you end up with, I think you're probably in good chance of getting several close lightning strikes. The cloud to ground lightning strikes have been intense in Leaper's Fork. They're almost exclusively cloud to ground at this point. And I think that, frankly, the concern is that as you see the outflow boundary on radar there, Andrew, move out from the parent storm and cause that little west wind to blow in from over kind of from the direction of Fairview. If you're in Franklin, you'll feel that wind come in if you're outside. And then right behind that, where the concern is that really tall storm will just fall down, right, as it gets close to Highway 31. And when it does, it'll displace all that wind. And that's why there's concern about straight line wind damage. So any kind of, the Bradford pear trees, look out. But if you're outside, just don't be. Like if you're in West Haven golfing or whatever it is you're doing, or golfing really anywhere in Franklin, you need to get off the course because there's just a ton of lightning. And in fact, Andrew, some of these are even positive strikes.
Yeah, getting quite a bit of positive
just south of Leaper's Fork. So it's going into Southall, and it'll be in Franklin Green over by West Haven here any minute now. And then they'll get into Franklin proper. So off the field, off the course. This thing will probably collapse, I'd say, in about
I think it is, David. So. In fact, while you were talking, I'm going up in the storm looking here. So this is up at around 36,000 feet. If we go back a little bit, you can see the core is more healthy. You get some reds in there. Let me go down even a little bit more. So it was pretty healthy there around 30,000 feet. And then look here in the most recent scans, it's starting to go down.
So, it might be collapsing now.
And so as we go through time here, you can see how it's spreading out and getting a little bit less impressive. So as we go back down to the lowest scan here around 2,000 feet. Yeah, so basically that's what we're saying is that we think the storm is starting to collapse now. And some gusty winds with it, yes, but we hope that we're right here and that the thing might be on a downward trend already. and that'd be great. We certainly don't see the blues and the bright colors there around Leapers Fork that we saw just even 10 minutes ago. Like right there, you can see some potentially severe winds there just north of Leapers Fork. They're around Parker Branch Road, and those have disappeared. So, but that's as the storm core has come down on radar. So we're seeing up in the storm around 25, 30,000 feet, where the core was really impressive. There was a lot of stuff up there. There was a lot of rain, a lot of hail, and then as that comes crashing to the ground, the storm just sort of falls apart, and it just doesn't have that support, that energy underneath it. It's like standing up on a stool, and you're working up on a stool, and the stool comes out from under you, you're going to come crashing down to the ground. And that's kind of what is going on here. And so as it comes down, it, you come crashing down to the ground with a lot of force. And that's what can happen here, and you can get some damaging winds as you come on down. So that's what the Weather Service was concerned about, was these potential 60-mile-per-hour winds as the storm collapses. That's been the whole story today. We've seen it in East Brentwood and West Nolensville, and we've seen it over the Holt Road area. We've seen it there. We've seen it up in northern Davidson County with a storm in southeastern Robertson County a little bit ago. And now we're seeing it in southwestern Williamson County. It's just been the story today. It's the way things go in the summertime. There was quite a bit of energy up there today. David and I were talking about before we went on. There was quite a bit of energy available today, and that's why the severe chances were a little bit higher than what we've seen the past couple of days. There's a little bit more energy to work with, and these storms are tapping into that. So this storm is moving east. It's riding an outflow boundary out ahead of it that's coming into West Franklin now. It's past West Haven. It's right around Jim Warren Park now, Founders Point, Whitehall Farms. You're feeling that breeze as it comes east. That's this blue line right here out ahead of the rain. And that's what's moving east into downtown Franklin right now. And the storm is right behind it. And the storm is sort of riding that lift that outflow boundary is creating. But it can't live there forever because there's not much energy back behind that outflow boundary. It sort of cuts the energy off, cuts the legs out from under it. And it just can't support itself very long out there behind that outflow boundary. So we expect the storm to collapse here over the next few minutes. Even now, David, seeing the reflectivities, we're seeing quite a bit of red, but we're not seeing the purples that we were earlier, those concentrated areas of precipitation just crashing down. Maybe some, I think we even had a little bit of report of some hail back there in western Williamson County. It looks like now things are starting to spread out and exhale a little bit, and the storm is potentially starting to weaken. Looks like even up around Old Hillsborough Road, places like that, Blazer Road, South Hall Road, not surprising to see winds in the 40, 45 mile per hour range there approaching West Haven and Highway 96. But I'm not seeing severe winds on radar anymore, David. I think that hopefully, if the two radars that we're accessing both have a fairly good read on this thing, and we're not seeing anything severe anymore, and we hope that this thing's collapsing.
Yeah, Andrew, check out what's happening down in Spring Hill. I know they've felt like they keep getting shut out of the radar the radar coverage and not getting any rain from this thing. But yeah, it looks like there's some new updrafts up there.
Yep.
And I would think that even if you're not getting rain down in Spring Hill or Thompson Station or even Bethesda, which is that community across the interstate, the people who like to go around the traffic, you can usually go near Bethesda. I would be shocked if there isn't lightning kind of around there. So if you're in Spring Hill, even though you are still included in the severe thunderstorm warning, but if you're near Buckner Road and really everything that's in Spring Hill now, down into Murray County, I think the lightning risk is going to happen there.
Yeah.
And it looks like the strongest part of the core might be shifting a little bit towards the southeast quadrant there near, I think Buckner Road is probably where it's the tallest. And then that area just kind of up to where, Michael, if you're watching, it looks like your garden's getting getting a lot of rain. Right over by Indy High School, or by Little Mars Company. But yeah, the updraft, Andrew, just to the east of Spring Hill looks pretty good.
Yeah, it
in
does.
terms of strength, and I think it's going to start producing a lot of lightning, and it could collapse down. It's that part just where the interstate is and as it crosses. So bad times if you're on the interstate on I-65 south of the 840 connection there.
Yeah, I agree with that. So right at the 65 840 junction, looks like some new updrafts going up there, and then south of that to the Williamson County line. So Bethesda, you might get some rain out of this. I know you guys have been wanting some rain, and in Spring Hill, it seems like these things blow up just east of you and move on. But down here at the lowest radar scan here in Spring Hill, it looks like the neighborhoods they're off of Duplex Road, Buckner Lane, Duplex Road. All those subdivisions off of there, at least getting something. It may not last long, but it looks like you're getting something there as the storm continues to develop down to the southeast. And yeah, I agree with you, David. We're seeing some updrafts there, pretty healthy around. And that's going to be not too far there from Summit High School. So pretty decent there. And then down into the northern parts of Murray County. So let's kind of reiterate what's going on here. We got a severe thunderstorm warning here that's in effect until 3:30, and that's for 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail. We have not seen any hail that I'm aware of today that is severe hail. So we haven't seen any quarter-size or larger hail falling, and that's really not what these warnings are for. The warnings are for severe winds, not necessarily severe hail. None of the warnings have mentioned severe size hail. So you might get small hail out of the storm. You might get penny-sized, dime-sized hail out of the storm, pea-sized hail. But we're not especially concerned yet about any quarter-size or larger hail. Most of this is a wind threat. And so it's these 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts that can come down out of a storm, really with... other than having a severe thunderstorm warning out, you can go from no wind to a lot of wind really in a few seconds. These things can really come at you pretty fast. So the good thing is we saw those colors and we saw those returns on radar a little bit ago over here just north of Leapers Fork, or in the Leapers Fork community. So you see the blues show up. The warning was issued immediately. And then those winds relaxed, and so the hope is that has gone away, or at least been reduced as far as the wind threat in the storm. But the warning continues till 3:30. We'll see, David, how long they let this thing go for. It looks like here the Weather Service actually noted about a minute ago that both the Williamson County storm and another storm they're watching up in Sumner County, that they've weakened. They're going to let the warning go a little while longer, just in case the thing perks up. Again, as David was saying, over here around Spring Hill, we kind of have new updrafts going up that are within the warning. And those things, as they come down, could produce severe winds there in Spring Hill and around the 65 840 junction there in South Williamson County. So they're going to let this warning go for a little while, but the main story at the moment, like if I had to guess a main story here over the next 3 minutes, I would say it's the lightning. You don't want to be outside messing with the lightning. We're seeing, multiple strikes here just in the past few minutes within that storm down in southern Williamson County. No doubt even more cloud-to-cloud lightning strikes. So it's a noisy storm. They're around Thompson Station, Leapers Fork, Boston, Spring Hill, and even areas in southwestern and South Franklin. So don't be outside messing with this as far as lightning goes. So if you were out on the golf course or anything like that, if you know somebody that was out there, be sure they're in a good shelter. They don't want to be under a tree or in a little dinky shelter or something that's just an overhang. They need to be in a good substantial building, just for a wind threat, but definitely for a lightning threat. And or in a car. In a car is good. Just not underneath a tree where wind damage might be a problem. But a car is a great place to take shelter from lightning. So that's what we have going on, and we'll see how long they let this warning go for, based on kind of what's going on down in southern Williamson County. Not seeing, of course, the radar wouldn't have a very good read on it, but not seeing a ton on the velocities down there, even on the new parts of the storm around 65 and 840. So we're looking pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think radar is going to see the winds very well.
It's not going to see it very well down there. You're right, on I-65. Once we get over around I-65 into the east, radar has a pretty hard time seeing these eastward moving storms as far as the wind goes. So velocities get pretty shady as we move east of 65 on these eastward moving storms. Weather Service issues a warning. That's on another storm that's east of us. So,
yeah, the satellite's really interesting on this, Andrew. There are some cirrus clouds aloft that were blowing in from the storms near the Alabama-Tennessee line, and then there's more cirrus storms just coming off the top of these severe storms from earlier in the day. And it's basically covering up Williamson County, except for where the core of that storm near Leaper's Fork came. And what that means is I think that our atmosphere is pretty much worked over, and that storm that you're looking at on the screen here that Andrew's got up is just looking for that little bit of lift and instability to tap, and it's only finding it on the very far part of I-65, which means I think the strongest part of the storm will continue to be along and south of 840.
yeah.
From Thompson Station to Bethesda, and then I think at some point it's just going to run out of oomph and eventually maybe cause more storms down to our south of Williamson County, to be clear. But yeah, the core of this thing is just doing what you would expect on a summer day like this, where, you know, the GIF that I tweeted before the warning was issued about Sheldon Cooper and the McDonald's balls or whatever, where they just pop up, they say bazinga, and then they're back down, and then you're looking around going, well, where's the next one going? And you know he's unlikely to come back up right where he just was, but he's going to come somewhere close by. And so just looking at satellite, all we see right now are just a bunch of Sheldon Coopers hopping up and saying bazinga and then going right back down. And the bazinga may or may not be funny. So on this one, it doesn't look like it was all that funny, which is good. But like we were saying before, all the new CG lightning strikes are along and south of 840. They're positive strikes over by Indy High School, over in Thompson Station. They're across over by Bridgemore Village.
Hey, looky here, Dave. It looks like the new updrafts over there right around Bethesda now. So, yeah, it's quickly spreading to the east as far as the development.
And if you look at the radar, that's great. And then you look at the satellite, it corresponds.
Yep.
It looks like the atmosphere is not as worked over. Meaning worked over means it's got fuel to make it burn, right? And it's just there's no fuel in a large part of Williamson County left because there have been so many storms popping up and down today. That's right.
So it looks like what we're going to have happen here is that the storm that's southwest of Franklin around Leaper's Fork, where we originally saw the warning issued for, that storm's going to be on its way down. It's going to weaken. It's just going to rain itself out. But it looks like that it's going to. There's an area of instability and lift that is going to produce additional storms down here south of 840. Really, maybe south of Page High School, we should say. From like the Fairgrounds, Page High School over to Trinity and Arrington and to the south. There's an area down there in far southern Williamson County where the atmosphere still has something to give, and it still has some fuel to give down there for these storms. And so as this outflow boundary comes through there, it's going to provide that last little bit, that last ingredient that you need to get storms going down there, and it's going to produce storms. We're already seeing that around Bethesda. So as we go up in the atmosphere, there's already water gathering up there. There's already lightning, cloud-to-ground lightning there around Bethesda. And you kind of see they're starting to move east of 65 and get into southern Williamson County there. I would expect, and David is kind of saying the same thing here too, that this area between Thompson Station, Spring Hill, Holtz Corner, Eagleville, College Grove, Bethesda, Page High School, this is the area that probably is going to see the next round of storms go up, produce a bunch of lightning and rain, maybe some small hail, maybe some damaging winds if things can really get going. And we're just that's going to be the future of the next 15, 20 minutes or so. But this warning is still in effect over here to the west of 65 for about another 15 minutes. So we'll see if this evolves, if they need to issue a new warning east of it. That's not really in the cards yet. But we'll kind of see how things evolve over the next 15, 20, 30 minutes. But yeah, it looks like the strongest part of this at the very moment is right here on I-65, just around Thompson Station, Spring Hill. So Duplex Road, where it goes over the interstate, right there at the where the interstate goes over 431, just south of the 65-840 interchange there. all the way down to Murray County. So that's where the heaviest rain is right now. But it's going to be spreading east over toward the Arno Road exit and the what's that? The Paytonsville Trinity, Paytonsville Road exit, Rudderville, areas like that. So that's where we expect things to spread to over the next little bit. Less of a threat back toward Leaper's Fork at the moment, and more so to the east. Let's look back up in northern Davidson County. We talked a little bit earlier about some storms that were coming in from Cheatham County. They are very slowly creeping into Davidson County, but they're really not all that exciting. So maybe some lightning coming into Jolton here in a little bit. In fact, it's probably close enough you're hearing the thunder, which means go in. But northern Davidson County is looking a lot better than it was a little bit ago. So Davidson's pretty good. So really the show's down here, Williamson. Let's talk. Sometimes we forget to say this, but it needs to be said. So when a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect, or if you're in like southeastern Williamson County, maybe just outside the warning, but the storm is kind of headed your way, what do you need to do? A good shelter from lightning, which is really the biggest story right now with the storm. A great place to take shelter from lightning is inside a good structure, a house, an office building, something like that, or a car. A car is a good shelter from lightning, but don't be under a tree in a storm like this, even in your car, because if you get some wind damage come through, some really strong winds, you might be protected from lightning in your car, but you also might have a tree branch come down in your car, so then you're no good. So a car that's away from trees or something is good from lightning. Might get some strong winds as well, as we just mentioned, so tree branches, flying debris as far as just stuff that's loose on the ground, trash cans, stuff like that. Again, you want to be in a good structure, a good home, or office building, business, something like that, and that's fine. That's fine. This is not a tornado kind of storm. This is a straight line wind and maybe some hail and lightning kind of a storm. So storms continue to develop there east of the warning. Still seeing some pretty gnarly stuff there right along 65, maybe some hail falling right there along 65. Let's look at kind of a rough hail view. This is not exact. This is just a radar estimation of kind of where the hail might be. And it looks like, yeah, right there between kind of along 840 into the south, could have some hail falling, maybe, I'd say maybe dimes, probably dimes right there around Spring Hill over to 65. Doesn't look like anything probably much larger than that. But that's a possibility for sure.
They just canceled the warning.
All right. So severe thunderstorm warning for Williamson County is canceled. They've let it go. And so that polygon will disappear here in a little bit. There it goes. So that's gone. So still watching the storm as it moves into southeastern Williamson County. This is, again, as we just said, this is the area that we think will have the most development, really from the Ag Center over to Page High School, College Grove, Bethesda, Holtz Corner, right there inside of Marshall County, Allisona, across Keys, over there to Spring Hill. That's the area we think is going to have the strongest weather and the most lightning, maybe some small hail and damaging winds, perhaps. But it's not warned right now, and we'll just have to see if it is a little bit later. So anyway, we'll be around. We'll be over on Twitter, and the biggest things we want to leave you with all these warnings going on. At the end, we want to say, hey, send us reports if you see any trees down, if you see any hail, compare it to the size of a coin. Let us know with pictures and let us know where you are. We'll get that over to the Weather Service. Use hashtag TSpotter when you tweet that, and we'll get that right over there to them. All right, guys, enjoy the storms, be safe, and we'll talk to you later.